Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for August 9, 2021, the Out the Employees edition. And we begin with that story from the New York Times. 40% of Americans over the age of 18 have not been vaccinated, and many of those employees do not want to let their coworkers know they're not vaccinated. Well, they're in for a world of trouble because pretty soon everybody's going to know, as you're going to be outed as an unvaccinated idiot. And I think that this is going to create a lot of a lot of negative feelings at the workplace when employees, for reasons that are completely unrelated to religious reasons or medical reasons, refuse to get vaccines, and then they want to be around employees as if they've done nothing wrong or nothing has happened. And it's going to be a very difficult time, not only for HR departments and compliance officers, but for those employees who refuse to become vaccinated. It could result in up to termination. Next up, from the New York Times, Robinhood is now a party to the phenomena it helped create. And this story comes to us from the DealBook edition. As the company has become public, the investing app was worth $46 million. At the close of trading on Friday, up 60% from its valuation the week before. And now it's perhaps inevitable, the evolution of market forces, but it's a striking turnaround. But there's still lots of legal problems that Robinhood is involved in, and they're going to have to work through a lot of class actions, regulatory problems, and other issues around going public and failing to have adequate controls and compliance in place. Next up, from the Washington Post, the U.S. Postal Service will pay over $120 million over the next 5 years to a major logistics contractor that the Postmaster General helped previously lead, and his family maintains strong financial ties. This is obviously a conflict of interest, and although typical of appointees from the Reagan administration, it's something that the current administration has certainly frowned upon from its employees. And if there's ever a reason to fire the absolutely criminal Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, now is as good a reason as any. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's terminated for this clear conflict of interest. And finally, I don't know whether you'd call this a conflict of interest or creating a market, but the tobacco giant Philip Morris, as reported by the BBC, has raised its bid for a respiratory drug maker, Vectra, to over $1 billion. Vectra makes inhaled medicines and devices to treat respiratory illness. So now we have the anomaly of a cigarette big tobacco company who creates respiratory illnesses being bought out, or rather trying to buy a company that fixes the problem they created. So once again, I'm not sure that's a conflict of interest, but it's certainly an anomaly. The board, or Philip Morris, has increased its offer, and it intends to operate Vectra as an anonymous business unit that will form the backbone of its inhaled therapeutics business. So go to have a spa day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.